and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Chris Barry.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You join us deep inside Ford Motor Company's operations in Cologne, Germany, where we are about to preview a very special car indeed. We're actually in this magnificent factory building built in 1962, a plant that has produced over 26 million engines. Right. We are broadcasting live all around the world, so thanks to everyone for tuning in, and thanks also to those RS fans, Ford employees, and members of the media who have joined us here to witness this momentous event firsthand. To everyone here, please make sure your phones are on silent, but please make sure you're tweeting and posting on social media as we go along. Now, the exciting new car we'll be unveiling today is yet another example of how Ford's continuing investment in new vehicles and technologies around the world is paying off. In fact, the company has publicly committed to deliver more than 12 new performance vehicles to its global lineup in the next 5 years alone. Vehicles that I believe will make your hearts beat a little bit faster, but hopefully not dangerously fast. Now, to help us understand it all, please welcome to the stage Ford of Europe's Vice President for Product Development, Joe Backay. Welcome, Joe. Great to have you with us, sir.
Hello, Chris.
Take a seat.
Thank you.
So, Joe, look, this must be a very exciting time in the auto industry.
It's a fascinating time to be working in the auto industry. We're seeing a technological revolution in areas such as urban mobility, connectivity, autonomous driving, and of course, performance. Now, Ford wants to be a winner in this changing world, and driving innovation in all areas of our business is going to be key to delivering this vision.
So why this emphasis on performance, Joe?
Well, performance and innovation have always gone hand in hand for us at Ford. And we see performance as the catalyst to drive technologies into our mainstream vehicles. We've looked at it this way in the past, and we believe this is going to be the case moving forward.
Now, looking back, fast Fords have always been with us. I mean, I can't remember a decade in my life where I haven't been burnt off at the lights by one. They've stolen hearts, haven't they? They've pushed back boundaries. They've captured headlines. They've done all those things, haven't they?
That's right. In fact, Ford's first innovation took place 114 years ago. And at that time, Henry Ford himself raced a car with 26 horsepower called Sweepstakes in a race in Michigan. Now, that car was actually very innovative for its time. It was one of the first vehicles to feature a mechanical fuel injection system, and it was also the first vehicle that we know of that used porcelain insulators on its spark plugs. And those insulators were actually made by a local dentist in Detroit. Now, Henry went on to win that race, and through doing so, he was able to achieve the financial backing needed to create the Ford Motor Company. And since then, fast Fords have maintained that pioneering tradition and raised expectations of what a normal car can deliver.
Right, so let's briefly reflect on a rich legacy of RS innovation, starting, Joe, with this car to our left. Now, for those of the PlayStation generation, this car will look positively archaic, but almost unassuming. It's almost quaint kind of character belies the real character behind it. Tell us why it's so important, Joe.
Yeah, so this is the Taunus 15M RS from 1968, and it started the Ford RS pedigree. The Ford of Germany here took a really innovative approach by spicing up practical cars with a sporty look and feel. And these were for customers who wanted a performance car, but needed a practical family vehicle. And this particular one got a sporty V6 engine, sports suspension, sports wheels, custom seats, and of course those great stripes.
Well, of course, I know from my youth that a Go Faster stripe is worth a couple of horsepower on its own. Maybe 2.5, depending on how thick. Tell us about the performance of this, Joe.
Well, actually, respectably quick for its time. It reached 0 to 60 miles per hour in 14 seconds.
Okay, well, we are talking 48 years, nearly half a century ago, so that's not too bad. Now, these were the trailblazers for the true RS. Where do we go to from here?
Well, by the 1970s, the Escort and Capri were already successful in motorsports, and they provided the perfect basis for a whole series of fast forwards with some very neat technologies.
Such as?
Well, this Capri 2600, for instance, was the first Ford vehicle with a mechanical fuel injection system, while the RS 3100 that followed it was the first vehicle where we used aerodynamic aids to produce downforce. For instance, the huge rear spoiler you see behind you was able to help with high-speed stability and handling of the cars. So this was real racing technology that was brought to affordable cars to boost performance and responsiveness. And that's still the key to a successful RS today.
Well, it's nice to know that the tradition of giant spoilers goes back to the 1970s. Giant spoilers, the automotive equivalent of wide lapels. What next?
Well, we have to talk about the Mark I Escort. And here are the RS 2000 and the Mexico, which celebrated Ford's victory in the 1970s World Cup Rally. Both cars were really popular, but it was probably the RS 1600 that was responsible for one of the most significant engines in road car history.
So, was this the first example of a family car with a high-performance engine?
That's right, with its 120 horsepower BDA engine with 4 valves per cylinder and a twin cam developed with Cosworth. Again, this was technology mainly seen on the racetrack. It was now powering a humble family car.
Right.
And we now use this technology, of course, to boost both performance and efficiency in almost all the vehicles we sell around the world.
I was going to say, I always wanted my dad to get an Escort Mexico or an RS or even a twin cam or a GT, you know, but it's just the dashboard with the 2 big dials and the 4 little gauges just was heaven for me. Kept waving a picture in front of him, but he bought a Cortina Estate instead. So when the Mark I Escort bowed out, what happened?
Well, along came the Mark II Escort, carried on the RS tradition. The RS 1800 was the most successful rally Escort of all, and this new RS 2000 was pretty innovative for the mainstream market.
With that distinctive polyurethane wedge nose as well, which I love.
Well, I loved it too, but it wasn't just cosmetic. This was the first vehicle that we pioneered aerodynamics to improve performance. And in fact, this design trend went on to shape the future of many generations of car after it, such as the 1980s Escort.
Well, yes, we are now heading into everyone's favorite decade, the 1980s.
Yeah, in the 1980s, RS Fords were top of the enthusiasts' most wanted list and featured on posters on many a teenager's wall. This car actually was my first fast Ford company car. It was a fantastic drive, combined front-wheel drive, turbocharging for the first time. And the car featured the world's first use of a viscous coupling limited slip diff to get all that power down on the road with reduced torque steer.
Well, yes, I'm picking up a sound now that tells me we're moving on to a very special car indeed, the RS 200.
Yep, and here it is. You have to remember, the RS 200 was created specifically for Group B rallying. It was also the world's first 2-seater to combine a turbocharged mid-engine with 4-wheel drive and composite construction. Technologies that, when you think about it, are still cutting edge today, and that's more than 30 years later.
Here are a few fans in for that particular car. It was also insanely rapid, as I recall.
Yes, it was, and in actual fact, it held the record for 12 years in the Guinness Book of Records as the world's fastest car from 0 to 60 miles an hour. and it achieved that in 3.07 seconds.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. Now, this next car coming up over here is no slouch either. Quite an understated saloon on the outside, but goes like a rocket.
Yeah, the Sierra produced some great RS cars that are still very desirable. The RS Cosworth blew people away. That 16-valve, 2-litre engine produced more than 100 horsepower per litre, and that was unheard of in the day.
Well, again, with those cars, I find myself drawn to that king of spoilers.
Yes, we used all of our knowledge gained on prior RSs to, first of all, achieve positive downforce on the vehicle, and that benefited the handling and the high-speed stability. But also by tuning the aerodynamics, this vehicle was able to reach a top speed of 150 miles per hour.
Sounds like it could be a bit of a handful.
Not at all. It was actually a great daily driver, and in fact the later four-door Cosworths were fairly luxurious. Not at all like a detuned racer, but they were still quick. The 4x4, in fact, was as fast as a 944 Porsche Turbo from 0 to 60 miles per hour in its day.
Right, so now we head towards the 1990s and the mighty Escort RS Cosworth.
Yeah, now I actually had two of these vehicles, and the first one was in this gorgeous blue color. It was effortlessly quick to drive, as well as fantastic to look at. And that all-wheel drive system set the benchmark for an exceptional handling and traction in a compact road car. And our expertise in aerodynamics made it the first volume production car to achieve downforce not just on the rear axle, but also on the front axle. And that was great for the understeer behavior.
And it was also a pretty awesome rally car, I remember.
Yes, it was. It won many titles, including the 1994 British Rally Championship, at the hands of one of our special guests today, a long-term RS fan and friend to Ford, Malcolm Wilson.
Welcome, Malcolm Wilson. Where are you? Stand up, please, sir. Yes. There he is. A round of applause. Anyone who can drive an RS like this man deserves at least a round of applause. Well done, sir. Now, Joe, moving on, this car coming up changed all the rules.
Yes, it did. The first generation Focus was well ahead of its time, both in design and under the skin. It set new standards for the industry and established a new dynamic DNA for us that is now a Ford trademark all around the world.
How did it do that?
Well, we paid a huge amount of time to developing the vehicle as a complete system, starting with the body torsional stiffness, matching that to the suspension kinematics and compliance, and then tuning the steering to fit together with all of those elements. That approach and technologies like the control blade rear suspension made it a benchmark vehicle for dynamics and fun to drive in the industry. Strength of that base vehicle allowed us to do a great RS. It was the first volume car to use a Quaife automatic torque biasing differential to control wheel spin and torque steer. We also worked closely with Michelin to develop a unique tyre for the vehicle.
So that brings us to the modern day RS.
Yeah, and this car took the Focus RS to the next level of driver involvement. And it was accessible to all drivers. It was tuned to reward the expert and flatter the novice. We learned how to further control torque steer by adding the ingenious Revo knuckle front suspension. And a real innovation was the interaction between the chassis and the electronics. So in this vehicle, the ESC would allow a wide drift angle, but still maintain full control of the vehicle. And in order to make the car more involving, we spent a lot of time in tuning the sound of the vehicle to generate that roar on acceleration and those pops, burbles, and wastegate tingle when you lift it off.
The wastegate tingle. Then, of course, there is the amazing lean, mean, moody, matte black version just here.
Yes, and we created this ingenious foil with 3M to give it that stealth fighter look. But of course, the main innovation with this vehicle was the fact that you could transmit 350 horsepower through the front-wheel drive of the vehicle, making it the most potent front-wheel drive car in the world at the time.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the legacy that is the RS. Now, Joe, you must have learnt a lot from RS cars over the years. The RS 500 will be a tough act to follow, won't it?
It will. We've come a long way, Chris, but rest assured we're going to apply everything we've learnt so far and more in the next generation RS.
So, I mean, it's almost 5 years since the last RS. Why has it taken so long to develop a new one?
Well, our engineers have been really busy with the amazing new products that you can see all around the world in our dealerships. In fact, last year alone, we launched an unprecedented 24 new products all around the world. Now, from this strong base, we're ready for the next RS.
Well, now let's take, ladies and gentlemen, a quick look at the RS development team in action.
We've got a very global team with 8 engineering centers all over the world, and all of them working together. We all bleed blue underneath.
Every engineer and designer loves to work on a product like this because it's a halo car.
The RS is really at the top of the mountain, so to speak. It's the most aggressive looking, but it has the most performance story to tell at the same time.
I want this car to be the first car that really engages the driver, that you can feel in control of the car. It's helping you do what you want to do.
I have to say, with a grin on my face, an absolute dream job.
We look at a lot of competitive vehicles as well as the history of what we've had with the RS, and we know it needs to be a percentage above the ST as well. Pretty high hurdles for the team to meet, but they're up to the challenge.
So, you want to do a few laps? I thought you'd never ask.
Well, Joe, the team is obviously incredibly passionate about this new car, but I have to say, was that Ken Block at the end?
Well spotted, Chris. It was. So with the new Focus RS, we really wanted to create a vehicle with a very special character. And given Ken's special driving abilities, we asked him to join the team as a consultant. And to date, he's the only non-Ford person that's driven the car.
Well, we've asked Ken to join us for a chat and to bring with him the RS prototype. But first, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to Joe. Please give a massive round of applause, Joe Buckeye! Right, so we know that Ken Block is somewhere in the Cologne plant complex. Let's get him in here. Can we let him know we're ready for him?
This is your cue, Ken. Go, Ken.
and gentlemen, please give a huge welcome to Ken Block and the prototype Focus RS. Ken, nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
And well done for doing everything I taught you. Well done. Now, Ken, what was it like honing this vehicle around the factory?
Well, it was actually quite a challenge due to all the different surfaces, especially that very slick painted concrete. But the car handled it all well, and the power up from the engine made it a lot of fun.
Now, look, this is obviously the prototype and not the finished car.
Yes. The car that you see here obviously is an ordinary Focus, but under that camo are the mechanicals of the new RS. So it looks normal, but it isn't.
So were you surprised to get the call from Ford?
Yes, I was very surprised, but I was also really stoked to be invited to join the development process. I've been a very big fan of the RS cars over the years, and I've been pushing for one special feature that's really cool, and you're going to hear about it in just a minute. Also, by the way, for me, it really is an honor to have contributed to the history of the RS badge.
So how deeply were you involved in the development of the car?
I've been working with the global team primarily to test and tune the handling. I've driven the car numerous times on the test tracks in Detroit, Lommel, and right here in Cologne.
And how do you feel about the car, even though it's actually still under development?
I really enjoy the handling and setup of the car because of the feature you'll hear about shortly.
Now, you've had a few RSs of your own over the years. Tell us about those.
Yes, I previously had a 2009 Focus RS, and also I have a 1978 Mark II Escort rally car. And recently I purchased an RS 200, which I plan on using as a road car.
Okay, what is it about the RS 200 that specifically appeals?
Well, it's such a unique car in Ford's racing history. Being a huge rally fan, it's awesome to me that Ford has a race car in the RS heritage that was built for the Group E era of stage rally.
Right, now, as we've said, this isn't the final car, but it does have the new Focus RS underneath. So can we actually see the real car?
Yes, sir. Just give me 1 minute.
Indeed. Well, thanks, Ken. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the main man. Come on. Oh, yes. So now the wait is nearly over. Now it's time to go from prototype to production reality. Ladies and gentlemen, the all-new Ford Focus RS! Here it comes! Come on, look at it go, ladies and gentlemen! A huge round of applause for this magnificent car! Keep it going, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. And please welcome Ford's Group Vice President for Global Product Development, Raj Nair! Raj, great to see you, young man. How are you?
Good, good.
Now look, we've been taking quite a journey this afternoon over the best of RS in the past, decades of RS, and I have to say this car is more than worthy of carrying the great RS badge. It must be a hugely proud moment for you and the team.
Yeah, it's a great day for the team, for the performance team, and you know, performance is our passion, and as Joe said, it's one of the most effective catalysts for ingenuity and innovation. And RS Fords don't come around that often, and this one really takes that RS mark to an entirely new level. And we're really aware of the benchmarks we've set ourselves with all the cars you saw, and we know that there's huge enthusiasm for a level of performance even above what we have with the ST and the ST Diesel that we just showed. And we're really confident that this car is going to meet the expectations of all the customers around the world, including some of those moving from premium brands. So it's a true RS, absolutely deserves to wear the badge, carried by great cars like the Escort RS 1600 and the last Focus RS you just saw.
So Raj, tell us some of the highlights of this fantastic new car.
Well, a host of breakthrough technologies. You know, Ken mentioned a special feature on the car. We're debuting an industry-first Ford performance all-wheel drive system with dynamic torque vectoring. It's going to deliver class-leading cornering capability, maximum driver enjoyment.
So it will be all-wheel drive?
Yes, absolutely. Plus, it has an exclusive 2.3-liter Ford EcoBoost engine delivering more than 320 horsepower. And we'll have more details on that to come. And rest assured, this new Focus RS is going to include all the driver assist technologies that our customers have come to expect from us, and a few surprises on top of that.
Tell us a little bit about the design philosophy.
Well, as you can see, it's a really sophisticated design, powerful, muscular, but everything about it is functional as well. We really tuned it for aerodynamic downforce and balance, as well as the cooling demands for the braking and powertrain systems on the track. It's going to be a really exhilarating drive, but also easy to live with every day, like a Focus RS really should be. And the great news is, for the first time, the Focus RS is going to be global. And that's going to make all of our customers around the world very happy, including Ken Block.
Including Ken Block, of course. So let's hear some more about the new all-wheel drive system.
Well, it's our first car to use this breakthrough Ford performance all-wheel drive system. It features what we call dynamic torque vectoring for really great cornering, but entertaining handling at the limit as well. We have 2 electronically controlled clutches that manage the front and rear torque split, but also control side-to-side split at the rear axle. So during cornering, we can divert torque 100% to the outer rear wheel immediately, helping our turn-in, helping stability, and virtually eliminating understeer. So exceptional grip, lateral accelerations exceeding 1G, class-leading cornering speed, and ability to really accelerate out of the bend. And it's even going to have an ability to do controlled oversteer drifts on the track.
Well, that certainly sounds innovative, but let's talk a bit about the EcoBoost engine.
Well, EcoBoost is one of our smartest technologies, and offering it on every new Ford in the lineup. And this new 2.3-liter EcoBoost we've done especially for the RS. As I said, output well in excess of 320 PS. Phenomenal low-end response. You can rev it all the way to the red line, feel the surge of the turbo, and also it's going to be accompanied by that signature exhaust soundtrack of burbles and crackles like a true RS.
Just hearing you talk about it is sending me, Raj. Now, looking at the overall business, how important are cars like this to Ford?
Well, our global efforts in performance and racing are really tied to our development goals. And as Joe said, you know, performance vehicles and the racetrack serve as a laboratory for innovation. And whether it's pushing EcoBoost engines to that next level, raising the bar with aerodynamics, experimenting with advanced lightweight materials. And the RS is going to provide countless enthusiasts over the years with cars they can race, customize, collect, or drive every day. And so RS ownership brings that exclusivity, but also unparalleled technical excellence.
So would you say there's a typical RS customer?
Well, performance vehicles attract a younger and better educated customer than the average car buyer. And the business is really booming. If you look at performance vehicle sales here in Europe since 2009, up 14%, up a staggering 70% in North America. So adding that RS is good for business. It generates showroom traffic. It brings new customers to our showroom, as well as satisfying our existing owners.
But I mean, delivering performance cars must require enormous investment, surely.
It is, and that's why we've created our Ford Performance Group, a team that's led by Dave Parasak, who's here, who many may know as the chief engineer for the latest Mustang. Also, Kerry Baldori's here, our global Ford Performance Engineering Manager. Tyrone Johnson, who leads our engineering group for performance here in Europe. Jürgen Gagstetter is our chief program engineer of this Focus RS. And also with us is our vice president of global design, Murray Callum. So Ford Performance combines our special vehicle team, our Team RS, and our racing engineering divisions all into one group. So it increases our capabilities on new production models as well as in racing. And it means we really can push those boundaries to deliver innovative performance vehicles at several levels. So the first level, for example, really great all-around performers like our Mustang GT, the Fiesta ST, Focus ST, and Focus ST Diesel. Then a level above that, a higher performance level, like the Mustang Shelby GT350R and this Focus RS. And then ultimately, at the highest level, elite supercars like the new Ford GT we just announced in Detroit.
Well, that does look like a very special car indeed. Raj, I'm sure the new RS is going to be absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to hear more. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Chris.
Big round of applause, please, for Raj Nair, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as well as being one of Ford's biggest production locations, Cologne is home to Ford of Europe. So, ladies and gentlemen, to close our show today, I'd like to hand over to Ford of Europe's new president and chief executive officer, Mr. Jim Farley.
Well, thank you, Chris, and thanks to all of you online and all of you in person, and a special thank you to all the RS owners that were part of our reveal today. Today is a really special day, as Chris said, because we're literally introducing this vehicle in our home, right here in Cologne. Just behind me, we make the 1-liter EcoBoost engine, which is won Engine of the Year not once, but 3 times. Right around the corner, we actually make the Fiesta, which is not only Europe's best-selling small car, it is the #1 global B car. This is really a very special place for us. And just down the road is Merconic, which leads all of our small car development for the globe. And just a few hours away is Saarlouis, which will be manufacturing the new Focus RS, not just for here in Europe, but for the entire globe. Great brands are made one great car at a time. And the RS, for us, captures the promise of our brand. At our best, we bring technology to millions. We make great cars that are affordable. That's what turns us on at Ford. And this year, in 2015, here in Europe, we have an opportunity to launch many new exciting products. In fact, almost 50% of our volume this year will be brand new products. And we're moving up market with many of those, like the Focus RS, and a whole host of performance vehicles, and a full lineup of SUVs. It's going to be a very special year for us, and a very busy year. For me and for the team, excellence in product defines us as a company. Not just making great products affordable, but making just great products. And bringing RS back to our customers is such a pride point for the organization. So thank you. And also, we're going to be launching the Mustang here in Europe this year after 50 years. Not just a great Mustang, but a Mustang that fits in here in Europe to the roads and all the customers' tastes. If you imagine that portfolio of vehicles, we don't want to just have a sustainable business in Europe. We want a vibrant business where customers think of us as a great company. Ladies and gentlemen, to give you an idea of how we're going to bring this product to life, we've developed a documentary that we're going to share with customers. And we wanted to share that with you before. So let's take a look.
Told over a series of films, this is the inside story of the new Ford Focus RS.
The RS is top of the pyramid.
From the searing heat of Arizona to the icy wastes of the Arctic, and from the design studio to the crash lab.
Bang, car's crashed.
We'll show you what it takes to transform the Focus into an all-wheel drive performance machine. We'll meet the designers, the engineers, and the test drivers working around the clock and across the world. We'll lay bare the traumas,
kind of a clack in the rear suspension, like a ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding.
the triumphs, and the tantrums.
The movement of the car feels completely in antiface to your steering input.
We really need to sort it out.
As they struggle to ready the car for a global launch.
This doesn't seem acceptable at this point. Agreed.
And we'll follow Ford Rally and Gymkhana superstar Ken Block to the test track and beyond as he joins the RS team.
Oh, my poor car.
Granted unprecedented access, our documentary crew brings you the intimate story of the rebirth of an icon.
Being in this car around a very fun test track is amazing.